Hey guys, in today's video, I'd like to dive deep and talk about my overall updates with Bitcoin. We'll cover strategy, MSTR stock, what my price prediction is as we head into Q1, what my price prediction is towards the end of the year 2025. We'll also go through the latest fundamental and technical analysis updates. So I would appreciate you staying through the end of the video where I will give you price predictions as well as the latest updates with Bitcoin and strategy, MicroStrategy. Let's all begin now. Now, if you're new to this channel, first off, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. What we're looking at is current price of Bitcoin. As you can see, currently at 97,000. Right before the stock market opened, we saw a huge dip here. We saw that it got to 96,000 and it dropped all the way down to like 94,000. However, throughout the entire day, we saw that upward motion getting back up. In fact, it broke through the 98,000. We're currently at the sub 98,000, but just overall updates. We're hearing so much news around strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's really a race between the states within the United States. Outside of the US, we're hearing now that Hong Kong recognizes Bitcoin in its investment visa program, which truly showcases its acceptance in global finance, along with Oklahoma advancing their Bitcoin reserve bill, joining states in leveraging Bitcoin for financial stability and inflation protection. Additionally, Japan now considers lifting the ban on Bitcoin spot ETFs to boost their market stability, aligning with the US trends. And I'm sure all of the US ally countries will be applying the same approach. It's global game theory right now. Everyone getting on board, just following that same trajectory that the United States has really painted a roadmap on. And Bitcoin reserves on exchanges dropped to a 3-year low, raising fears of a shock supply due to high demand. And I think all of this is really going to attribute to the rise in the Bitcoin price. Where we are right now, healthy consolidation, just throughout the recent months, especially from November all the way up through now. So that's healthy signal here for the next gap up. Why do I say next gap up? As we look at this visual rainbow here, we see halving events represented in green lines. We did have our halving event last April of 2024, so we haven't even got towards 1 year post halving event. But key takeaway here is that we're still in that Bitcoin bull cycle, especially with that, bearish market beginning to see signs of hope towards 2023, but we're still not out of the woods yet. Bitcoin will reach all-time highs in 2025. I'm forecasting somewhere around the price of 200,000, but as we get towards March and April, I see that we could very well break through that 130, $150,000 barrier resistance. We'll see all of that coming just with a matter of time. But I think that we're still in that accumulation. It's still cheap. We haven't got to see Bitcoin get that high RSI of 80 plus where we begin to see FOMO and it's been overbought. Let's also take a look here, top assets by market cap. So you see here, gold being the number one here, precious metal, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin at number seven. You see here it's close to $2 trillion. It's soon enough going to bypass Google Alphabet here. And eventually it'll bypass Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple. And I think it's going to be like in the number two just with a matter of time. Will it be this year as it runs up by double in price? Very well possible for it to, if it just doubles from like 97 to like 180,000, we're looking at it being ranked number two there. And eventually it will bypass gold. I mean, you think about the ETFs that have been created for Bitcoin, like IBIT, held with BlackRock. I mean, just with the recent inflows that we see year to date, along with 2024, all of that record history numbers that we never had seen with gold ETFs. So eventually, Bitcoin's just going to be climbing up the ladders as the top asset, top digital property. I mean, this is like pure gold here from a top asset standpoint. So I think eventually we're going to see Bitcoin climbing up. And when we look at strategy, MSTR as a public company, we're eventually going to see MSTR be in the global ranking as well. And, it's definitely going to become a $1 trillion company. And at one point, because they have so much Bitcoin on their treasury with their business model, they're going to be a multi-trillion-dollar company at one point in the future. But, first off, getting towards that $1 trillion, it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when with MSTR. Let's take a look at this posting here from Bitcoin Magazine on X here. So just in, Texas Senate member Charles filed legislation for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. 2 weeks ago, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick announced he would make this a priority bill for the 2025 legislative session. So key takeaway here is that it clearly calls out strategic Bitcoin reserve, not necessarily calling out like cryptocurrency, but this bill under SB 21, it has been received by the Secretary of State today, and it's just a matter of going through that review of this establishment proposal, and hopefully it gets through approved. And at one point, at the state level, Texas will be able to buy Bitcoin to really combat the traditional issues that we see within the United States when it comes to like inflation, for example. So huge bullish news here. All of this will drive up the price of Bitcoin as it's a finite number. We can't engineer a Bitcoin, and all of that's just going to increase the scarcity of Bitcoin. And as a result, demand goes up, price will be reflected going up into the higher ranges. Let's take a look here. Bitcoin treasuries here. So MSTR current HODL at 478,000. I mean, back in Monday, MSTR, Michael Saylor, did announce that they acquired more Bitcoin. It went from like 471,000 now up to like, close to 479,000. When you look at the comparison between MSTR and other public companies, you'll see like Mara, Riot, CleanSpark, which are the Bitcoin miners. Mara has 45,000, Riot 18,000, CleanSpark 10,000. Tesla actually just increased their Bitcoin numbers here. So, top four companies right now, MSTR, Mara, Riot, Tesla. That's huge. But you see here a big difference when you look at the overall HODL of MicroStrategy. And I think it's because MSTR has been in the game much longer. They've been buying Bitcoin since 2020 when prices of Bitcoin was like below $10,000. And they just been dollar cost averaging whether the price is in the bear cycle or in the bull cycle, you name it. Saylor will continue to just vacuum up like a black hole all of that fiat money to use that money as a lever to buy up more Bitcoin, converting that from raw Bitcoin to just wrap Bitcoin to create all of the different ways to cater towards different clients, with high risk appetite, low risk appetite, even with the introduction of dividend payouts as well. So huge number here. And I think just with this HODL here, we're going to see their KPIs really kick in, especially with the Bitcoin yield return on investment. Let's take a look here, from Michael Saylor on X. So far this year's strategy, treasury operations have resulted in a Bitcoin gain of 18,527, which equates to a Bitcoin $ gain of 1.8 billion for MSTR shareholders. So that's just huge numbers when you look at just the Bitcoin money gain quarter to date, 1.8 billion dollars, just year to date here. That's some huge numbers that we see, and we will continue to see that add value to MSTR shareholders. So I really like their user interface, their KPIs that they've established, and that'll be a key metric, leading indicator as we, assess the performance of the company. Let's take a look here, a posting, on Reddit here that was posted a couple months ago, but still relevant. Refining Bitcoin into financial products. MSTR is taking extracted Bitcoin and refining it. Currently, they have only really had to focus on two primary products. That's through convertible debt and equity issuance. through ATMs, but consider zero coupon bonds, asset-backed bonds, income bonds. These type of bonds all have their unique markets and investors who provide demand for them. Those who cannot just buy Bitcoin, they are selling products that cost $1 billion dollars and they are oversubscribed. The global bond market is $200 trillion dollars. MSTR's portfolio of business, AI, BTC Treasury, and BTC development has very little costs and is positioned well. So, with their convertible boats all the way up through 2027, that's now up 70% par. So, just huge price action with MSTR over the course of last year, and all of that's just attributed to their business model. They're racking in so much money value, and that's through their hodl of Bitcoin. Let's also take a look here, just BlackRock. We learned that BlackRock also filed to the SEC their ownership of MicroStrategy at 5% ownership of the company stock. So, keep your enemies closer, BlackRock and MSTR. It's really a race right now between the biggest financial institution, BlackRock, versus the public company, MSTR. I think it's just a matter of like how much shareholders will continue to invest in like the ETFs like IBIT that BlackRock has created, and that will allow BlackRock to continue to buy up more Bitcoin. Similar with MSTR, any money that Saylor is able to accumulate, vacuum suck like a black hole, use all of that money, buy up more Bitcoin, and just add value. Every share will technically have more ownership of Bitcoin, whether that's through ATM, convertible notes, all of that factors in. Let's take a look here from Adam, his posting here today, why MSTR is primed for the moon and why we're still so early. So traditional finance has not even remotely caught on. While the world was watching Nvidia pump 1,000%, a silent whale accumulated 2.4% of all Bitcoin through a corporate vehicle, and the market hasn't figured it out yet. First, look at these numbers. Apple 3.5 trillion, Microsoft 3 trillion, Amazon 2.4 trillion, Meta 1.6 trillion. Now here's the Galaxy brain part. MSCR quietly accumulated 478,000 Bitcoin. That's 2.4% of all Bitcoin that will ever exist ever. Let that sink in. But why is this important? Because while everyone's arguing about Fed pivots and PE ratios, MSCR engineered one of the most genius Bitcoin accumulation strategies in history. 0.53 weighted average coupon, 4.7-year duration, 9% debt market cap, 1.96x MNAV. This is god tier financial engineering. The real 200 IQ play, they're not just holding Bitcoin, they've created a new asset class, Bitcoin exposure, corporate governance wrapper, options market liquidity, convertible optionality, tax efficiency. It's like Papa Saylor found a cheat code in the financial matrix. Look at the volume spread. MSTR 108%, Bitcoin 43%. The derivative is more volatile than the underlying. This makes zero sense unless the market is pricing in something massive that most traders haven't figured out yet. Here's where it gets wild. While Nvidia traders celebrate 1,000% gains, MSCR built a position that could theoretically capture the entire Bitcoin adoption curve in a corporate wrapper. This trade is a maximum exposure to the entire future of digital assets. The smart money sees it. 90% open interest market cap, 3.2 Sharpe ratio, 74% Bitcoin yield in 2024. These numbers are breaking traditional finance models. Nothing in traditional finance moves like this without imploding. Why does it matter? Because while everyone's focused on Mag 7, 16.8 trillion, they're missing that MSTR created a financial instrument that could become the de facto way institutions get Bitcoin exposure. This is like getting Apple in 1980, but with Bitcoin's upside. But let's talk about the 2.4% Bitcoin position again. More Bitcoin than most nations, corporate governance, US regulatory framework, options, liquidity, convertible arbitrage. They're not just long Bitcoin. They've built an institutional bridge to digital assets. The cherry on top, that 108% historical volume with a 3.2 Sharpe ratio. In any other asset, this would be impossible. Here's what the Mag 7 watchers are missing. While they chase tech multiples, MSTR built a position that captures Bitcoin's entire adoption curve, institutional capital flows, traditional finance convergence, regulatory arbitrage, corporate wrapper benefits. This is Grandmaster Saylor playing 5D chess, the end game. When traditional finance finally FOMOs into Bitcoin, they'll need regulated vehicles with governance frameworks. Guess who built the largest, most sophisticated while everyone was watching NVIDIA? This isn't even a trade, it's infrastructure for the future. Remember this thread when Bitcoin hits 250,000 and everyone asks, how did we miss it? The signs were there, the structure was built, the position was accumulated. While traditional finance watched the Max 7 during the AI boom, the real Galaxy Brain trade was hiding in plain sight. So lots to digest, such a deep dive, really great posting here. I hope that was valuable and thank you, Adam, for this post here. Let's take a look at technical. So most of you are wondering, what my overall price target is for Bitcoin. As we head towards April timeframe, I'm really thinking that we're going to get towards that 130,000, whether that can come sooner. If I had the magic 8 ball, then I would be able to be 100% more positive on that. But I do think that we have upside to 130, 150K somewhere between Q1, early Q2 and price of Bitcoin will then at that point be correlated with a retest of 550 back in November timeframe when Trump got elected. But the upside here is as we head more towards into the later phase of 2025, as Bitcoin, we saw the rainbow chart as it reaches, 80, plus RSI, where that FOMO effect kicks in, where Bitcoin price reaches like 200K, we very well will see it test that, that 750 range. And I believe, it could very well get to that, 1200 range in the year 2025, which is well achievable. But that's my overall price target. What we see here is just we're in this bullish flag channel here, just consistent consolidation. Lowest point was around 280 post that, top resistance run out. But I do think we're in that healthy consolidation phase, and we're just going to see that cup and handle reverse pattern take place here. So with all of that, I wanted to play this short clip of Saylor here. So let's take a look.
I had a guy come to my house. I met his son, and the next day the son brought his father, and his father could like buy the entire city of Miami. And he said, "Well, I don't know what's going on, but I know Bitcoin is really important." And my son says, "I got to sit down and listen." And so I orange pilled him for 2 hours. And I'm not going to say who because it's such a common story. But my point here is every one of you knows someone. Go tell a CEO, go tell your father, go tell your mother, go tell somebody that Bitcoin's going to change the world and they should figure out more about it. Because the number one thing you can do is educate the world on Bitcoin and let people know they need to figure out Bitcoin. And every one of you does make a difference because I would never get those meetings if it wasn't like someone that went and said, you got to pay attention. And my last point to you, you do not sell your Bitcoin. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. I hope that video was helpful there. We saw Saylor there with Kathy Woods, and just recently, even Kathy Woods announced that, come before 2030, we're going to see Bitcoin price reach $1.5 million. So that just gives you an overall vision of where Bitcoin is headed. What does that mean with MSTR stock price? We could very well see some rocket launches happening very soon, especially with Bitcoin price, in this consolidation phase. We're going to see some all-time highs here. So there you have it. I hope you found this video valuable. Let me know where you're from, where are you watching from, what your comments and predictions are. Thank you guys.